Hi guys, welcome back to the real Deal Torana. Sorry it's been so long between episodes. Some of it's in our control, some of it's out of our control. It's been very hard getting stuff for this car from suppliers, but everyone's got the same issues all around the world. But we are back, and in this episode we're going to take on the exhaust. So sit back, hope you enjoy. The boys in the machine shop have knocked out the final adapter plate. So as you can see, it's out of aluminium or aluminum. The grade is 6061 T6, so it's definitely going to be strong enough. I think it's come up $1 million. What we've done is obviously thrown the flywheel in there as well to try and explain about this trigger. So as you can see around the outer edge of this flywheel, there's some steps all the way around. That works on a trigger. So the only thing we've really got to do with this adapt plate now is get the sensor, and we'll probably throw it in from the side somewhere, but we're not too stressed on that now. The next step is probably bolt the gearbox back to it, and we'll throw it back in the car, and we're going to do some extractors, so hopefully they work out all right. Alright, so it's time to tackle the headers. So I've gone ahead and got some bits and pieces out of the store. We've got some pipes laid out, so we've got some 180s, some 90s, some 45s, and we've got our header flanges. So we went ahead and drew these up and got a laser cut from our local supplier, so they've just turned up. Pardon me, so it's time to get stuck into it, but let's have a quick look in the engine bay and show you what we've got to get round. So the driver's side's always the worst side when doing pipes, because obviously you've got steering, it's the number one, and a lot of the time the starter motor's on that side. So if you have a quick look down in the engine bay here, you'll see obviously we've got starter motor sitting there, the steering shaft which is very close, and the killer with this one is obviously we've got 6 pipes on each side. So we may use this hole that's already here on this side, so we might bring some over the rail and back in. So it's going to be 2 into 1, 2 into 1 and so forth, and then 2 into 1 again. So I think we'll start with the driver's side, always start with the hard side to get that done, and then we'll go to the left side, which should be a little bit easier. But we'll get it up in the air, and we'll have a quick look at where it's going to come out and how we're going to tackle it. So I'll throw it up and we'll go from there. Okay, so the engine and gearbox is back in place. We've got the case itself, so it's hollow, it's nice and light, and it's free hanging. That's bolted to our new adapter plate. Surprisingly, this is the cross member we had with the power guide and the big block shed. It is pretty close, so it's probably going to come back about 1.5 inches. But like I said, I don't need to do anything with that yet because it's an empty case, there's no weight on that. So it is time for extractors. So while we're up here, I'll show you where the exhaust system is going to run. With the blown big block, actually we had it just shooting out the sides, but originally when I built the car, it was going to be a street car, so I was going to go a full exhaust system. So these oval scallops here is where it's going to go through. So once we get the pipes down to about here somewhere, we'll have an oval system, which will be pretty cool. So it'll come through here, back out here, and shoot under the diff. We'll get them coilovers, get the airbags in and out the back. So it's pretty cool that we've still got these positions here. We don't need to do anything, probably back this way. We're just an oval system. We'll probably put a balance pipe in there somewhere to get that note, because as I said, we want it to sound like a Ferrari engine. So like I said, I think it's time we go back down and we have a bit of a look at the pipes and make a plan. Okay, so a bit of an update on the exhaust system. If you come have a bit of a look, what we've gone with is a 3 into 1, and then it'll be 2 into 1. So this side's pretty much, let's say 3/4 of the way there. It's probably the hardest side, so because you've got steering, starter motor and so forth. So they've got them pipes going down. It's obviously never going to be the same left to right. So as you can see, if you have a quick look, they're running on in a guard here and ducking down. So we are waiting on a few more bends at the moment. Like I said, once we get under there, we're going to go the 2 into 1 into the oval system, and then we're going to put an X pipe and a couple of mufflers. So the boys are doing a great job. It's definitely not my handiwork, this stuff here. So they've got them all TIG welded up. I believe they're probably about 80% of the way there. We'll get the bends and we'll hopefully get them finished in the next couple of days. Okay, so the boys have been working on the real deal again. It has been a little bit of time. Got a few hold-ups with some suppliers and we're super busy. So as you can see, there's still a bit of gear laying around. They're finished for the day, but if you come underneath and have a bit of a look, I'll show you where they're at. So we spoke earlier on that the extractors were pretty much done and they're pointing down the bottom here. So on the left side of the car, they've pretty much got this joined up to our X pipe. So they've got a little section here to continue. But as you can see, it's got a bolt-in flange, so it's a few pieces to try and get this in and out. If you look over here where they haven't finished this side, you can see it's like a double barrel shotgun. So it's an oval exhaust from here back, but obviously coming out of the extractors, we've got the 2 pipes. So we've had to get these laser cut, so we drew these up. That was a bit of a hole up. Our laser cutters we use are about 3 to 4 weeks behind, so it's been a bit of a pain. So it's been very slow. We've had to wait a bit of time for that. But continue back down here. This is a piece of a bit of art. So the boys, Jamie works with, has done an amazing job to get this where it is. It wasn't that simple. So we spoke about earlier also that the pieces that are in the chassis here will be fixed, and then this center section will bolt in and out. So when I say fixed, you can't get them out. So we've got an oval hole here. We've got this bit of oval pipe with 2 flanges on the welded to it. So once they're there, that's it. You can't physically get it out. So we've got some rubber mounts which bolt through this chassis for here for the vibration. So being these 2 points are fixed, when they made this, if it moves at all, it's pretty hard to line back up. I think there's 16 holes it's got to line back up with. So what actually happened was we welded it all together, and then we done this weld here in the balance pipe, obviously through the center here, and that pulled. So if you come and put your camera under here, you'll see there's big heat marks on either side of the pipes. So what we had to do to try and get it to spring back, this is pretty cool. They're pretty talented, the guys. They warmed it up with an oxy or a blowtorch, whatever you want to call it, and let it heat up. Then obviously as it gets hot and cools, it shrinks. So it sprung back. So they let it shrink and get that back out. So to get it to line back up, it's pretty impressive. So I just thought I'd sneak back in the day and show you where they're at. Hopefully tomorrow we'll get the left-hand extractor to the pipe fully together. Then they're going to tackle the right-hand extractor, which is a bit more going on to get to there because you've got steering and starter motors. And then the final piece will be from here to the back of the car. So being that I'm going to drive it on the street, we're going to have some mufflers in this. There's obviously no room here for the mufflers, and then we've obviously got extractors. So the mufflers are going to be right at the back of the car, which will be pretty cool. So we'll explain that when they start playing with it. But all in all, it's been a while. We're back on it, and it's certainly getting there now. Okay, so we're back under the real Deal Torana. We spoke a bit earlier about the middle section and getting onto the rear section. So he's gone ahead, this is Jamie, our exhaust guru, has gone ahead and done the left side so far. It's a little bit tricky. Obviously you've got the 9-inch center, you've got an airbag and a bracket, so it's not as if it's just a straight pipe. So it's got a few bends and so forth, and also it's got a bolt-on flange there. The muffler we've got, obviously we made it really far back. We've had to do a few different bits and pieces. So here's one for the other side that he hasn't done. So obviously we've got round, which is the muffler, which is going to oval exhaust. So he started with the round, he's at the hammer form this. So there's definitely plenty of work in this exhaust, but it is getting there. The other big thing we had to work out, I should say James had to work out, was a hanger for the muffler. They are big and bulky, but we do want to be able to drive this thing on the street. So we had a couple options. We could have done a brace run all the way up and then a hanger come down. What he's done, he's actually made a bolt-on bracket, which is this is the opposite side, but over there, here, and then a brace coming up, and then a tag coming down. So here's a muffler for the other side. In the early stages, there's a bit of tubing here, which will be welded across each side, and the hanger comes off there. So it's always a good idea to come off the center point, spreads the weight out, and go from there. So he's doing a good job. The other thing is also at the back here. When this car was originally built, we had oval exhaust poking at the back. We're going for a round style, so it's definitely not this long. This will probably get shortened up and a little dump pod like that. So, like I said, Jamie, our exhaust guy's doing a great job. I reckon maybe a couple of hours he'll have the other side done, and we'll get it down and move on to the next step. Okay, so here is the finished product, this exhaust system. Now it's not very long, but you've got to remember the car is very short. So up at the front, it's a bit of a snake, there's plenty of pipes going on. So we'll just have a quick bit of a chat about what's going on here, what was the headaches about doing this, and what I think of it all. So up the front, left side, it's pretty straightforward. Well, I didn't build it, so it's not that straightforward, but they just obviously come out of the heads and then flow down. The driver's side or the right-hand side is completely different. There's a few big things going on there. One's the steering. So you've got a steering shaft coming up to your steering column, and you've got a starter motor. So we've tried making them look the same as much as we can from side to side. So sort of from here forward will look the same. When it's in the engine bay, it does look very symmetrical. It looks good, so I'm very stoked. The big issue we have with this, we actually done each header plate individually, but we had to do that because of the way of the heads on the Ferrari engine. So what happened was, when you make these pipes individually, if they pull a bit, when you fabricate them, you go to bolt them back up, they don't want to bolt back up. So you can probably see there's a lot of heat mark. We've had to spend hours upon hours tweaking them to get them to bolt back on. So like I said, Jamie the man has done a magnificent job to make that work, because like I said, there's a number of pipes and they're all individually. On a normal header, they'll be all joined together and they bolt straight off and on. So these are individually. So that's the first step. Obviously, we spoke about this earlier on, like a double barrel shotgun. Comes down to a flange here, and it goes into the oval system. So under the car, there's a little section about 6 inches long, here and here. We've just bolted that together to give you a bit of an idea. So extractors, the double barrel into the oval. This is obviously all TIG welded too, so we spoke about these heat marks here earlier, why they're there. And then it comes back to the rear of the car. Now, the mufflers are right at the back. I think I might have mentioned earlier why they're there. There's just no room up the front. So the big thing, how will it sound? Your guess is probably as good as mine. It is short, so it probably will be still loud, but I hope these mufflers will tame it down and we still get that real good Ferrari note. So there's the exhaust system. I'm pretty happy. The TIG welds and the overall job just looks amazing. So it's definitely a one-off. The boys said they'll probably never tackle a job like this ever again. So I'm pretty pumped about that. In the meantime, what I've done on the car to try and speed the next episode up and make this thing hit the road soon, I've gone ahead and put the airbags in it. Started putting some red wheeled calipers. I've gone ahead and ordered the silicone and the pod filter stuff for the air intake. So the next job is engine and box out down to Rogers, and they will start working on a converter and so forth. So that's next episode. But overall, I do apologise again. Sorry guys, it took so long. But here it is, one step closer to hitting the road.